everybody? I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. Go, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. We are here from the Real Talk Studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey, and we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, our own personal doctor who takes care of us, and he can take care of you. He's located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Burlington, New Jersey, and Princeton, New Jersey. All over the Jersey area. And you can find him at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com.
What up, fam? Niche Night Thursday on A2DRadio.com from the Real Talk Studios. Chrome and Maddie, the Ginger Gang. Mr. Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. This is 2 shows in a week I've done with you, Ryan, which feels like it's our normal, but it feels like it isn't because it's been like 5 weeks since we've.
It hasn't been like 5 weeks. It has been 5 weeks. It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
But good to be back.
Good to be back indeed.
Good to be back with the fam to talk pro wrestling, everything in pro wrestling. Our topic of conversation, and man, it was a hotbed of this week of a lot of things to talk about. We're going to try to cram it in to our hour and 45 minutes that we have. But our topic of conversation is brought to you by ATS Sports Picks. All our sports bettors out there, we want to see you guys succeed and win some money. Spend it on A2D merch, anything else you want to. Get in there, atsportspicks.com. Use the promo code A2D, and you get 20% off any first-time purchase packages. So,
Yes, I just flashed the audience. But anyway.
that's that merch.
Yep.
That's the letters. That's the merch. That's the promo code on Maddie's chest as we are speaking right now. But, yes, the topic of conversation. And I had to dust it off, guys. One Mr. Phil Brooks / CM Punk came back, made an appearance on WWE television this week. The poll question is, CM Punk will compete in a WWE ring. Agree, disagree, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. If you're not able to catch us live, make sure you guys if you have to duck out for whatever reason, guess what? We got audio for you. We're on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, iTunes, well, Apple. I guess it's Apple now, right? Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it.
Apple, iTunes, something. iTunes.
Everyone
knows
it
iTunes. Yeah, everyone knows.
Google Play. We're on a smorgasbord of different platforms. Make sure you guys are going onto those platforms, subscribing to us, so that you guys can catch up on all the latest A2D shows with your favorite personalities. But we know that we're the favorite personalities. I mean, they have to be.
By default.
But we want to hear what you guys have to say, particularly about CM Punk. But we're also going to talk AEW Full Gear. Took place Saturday night. We also last night had the fallout from Full Gear.
Yes.
As well as NXT. We weren't on last week, so we're going to try to encompass kind of since the takeover has began, or these kind of party crashing moments with NXT showing up on WWE programming. Last week we also had the switch flipped on NXT a couple of times. And I don't know if you guys noticed who made her appearance last night on NXT television.
The NXT UK Women's Champion.
Oh, yeah. But one Miss Scarlett Bordeaux.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Was
that's right.
Tending to
Shame on me.
Miss Candice LeRae. And I was a happy man.
I'm sure you were. Give me
I
flashbacks.
was a wonderfully happy man last night.
I'm sure you were.
But yeah, so let's get into it, guys. So, WWE Backstage. I know you guys said you really haven't had much of a chance to watch it. I like the program. It's some of it is, it's interesting too because on the program they speak more of it not in kayfabe, which I kind of like. So when they talk about the atrocity that is the Bobby Lashley Rusev Lana angle, they have very openly said on that program how terrible they think that it is for all intents and purposes. They have very openly spoken about how they do not like that the WWE Universe is seeming to reject a lot of it, although it's getting hits on YouTube and things. But in that program, one Mr. Phil Brooks decided to make his appearance last night. At the end of the show, they said, hey, WWE is about creating moments, and why not here on Backstage we create our own moment. The music hits, and Phil comes out, CM Punk. Comes out and basically looks into the camera and says, just when you think you have the questions, I change the culture. I'll see you next week. And that was it. So he is going to be on their program next week. CM Punk is a Fox employee, not a WWE employee. Right, a Fox employee, which, whatever. I mean, clearly him agreeing to the deal that he has with Fox and with WWE already being in the picture, this guy knew he was going to be on WWE programming. But the question is as it is, or the point made. CM Punk will appear in a WWE ring as an active competitor. Do you agree, Maddie, or do you disagree?
As an active competitor, like consistently showing up.
I'm not saying consistently.
Oh, okay.
Appearing.
So just appearing either to do one-offs or to be a part-timer or what have you, that we can throw that in there as well.
Right.
Okay, fine. With that, I will say it is inevitable.
Okay.
I think it's going to happen. It'll happen at some point. I don't know when. I know you said off mic before the show, Saudi show, which is quite possible that could happen.
Phil likes money.
Yes, he does. If not, WrestleMania, those paydays are also nice too. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the opportunities are there. We'll just see where it goes. But I think it is going to happen at some point. Who's it going to be against? Who knows? There's a realm of possibilities with it, especially if they're only going to do a one-off every once in a blue moon, or they're going to have them do like a part-time thing where he'll show up and he'll do an appearance on maybe only the big shows, and he'll check out on the shows that no one cares about, Well,
I want you guys to get your brains working now because I want you to answer this for me in a little bit, not right this second,
okay.
but 5 names that
Read
you
my
would
mind.
like to see CM Punk if he decides to in any kind of a capacity. I don't think he'll ever be a full-time guy again. But do I think that for some paydays and an opportunity to kind of get in and wet his whistle occasionally, he would do that? I absolutely do. I agree with the poll question. So I want you guys to think of 5 names, and we're gonna try not to repeat. Because if we do, we do. But I'm going to try, like if you guys say something that I was going to say, I'm going to think of a different name. Because I want to try to have a conversation about the type of matches you would like to see if he was to step in the ring again at this point. But I definitely think he is going to step in the ring. He loves money, and they will throw money at him. And this could be the best possible time for this because of the AEW build that's been going on, the momentum that they are getting.
And apparently some news came out that he rejected an offer from AEW to do what he was doing with Fox. So
not only rejected, he went out of his way to say he was insulted by the way he received the offer. And we've talked about it on this program. He said he got an offer through text messaging. So
that is pretty disingenuous when you get right down to it.
Yeah. And, I still haven't watched the whole thing, but I know he did appear at StarCast, and he was very particular with the wording that he used in reference to WWE. This wasn't the Colt Cabana podcast from 2014. This was, I'm going to read between the lines. The door is very much open for future business, which clearly we've seen kind of kick off last night. Or Tuesday night, rather. But, yeah, I think that he will step into the ring. I think the Saudi show is even more likely than WrestleMania because those paydays are insane. And if they have a chance to take any kind of attention away from AEW or really from anywhere. NJPW at this point, they will take advantage of that. They will throw the money at Phil. So, now I absolutely believe that we will see him appear. And I already like it. We already got the fam. And do it, guys. The fam's already dropping in names that they want to say. I love it. Did you drop yours in there?
No, I just made my list.
Okay.
It's over here.
Okay.
It's over here.
Okay.
It's over here.
I want to talk about the reaction to this, though, guys, because the reactions have been interesting to comical. The CM Punk diehards who were pissed off that he went back to them. How could he do this to us?
It's called money.
It's called being a businessman.
Yeah, that's
idiots.
Yeah, it's like what? Wrestling is a business. They call it the wrestling business. They don't call it the wrestling theater. They call it the wrestling business. Right. You know.
Then there's people who were like, I'll always support him, but I'm upset that he went back to this company, that this and that. Listen, first of all, it should be noted he works for Fox.
Yeah. And
it is the point of, it's no different than, an ESPN person covering and working on NFL Live. They're employed by ESPN working on an NFL show. So let's not mince words with that. But does this open the door for the possibility of a working relationship? Sure. He's said that himself, that there could be. Now, he has said he doesn't plan to ever step in the ring because he doesn't trust doctors and this, whatever. I mean, money changes that. I don't buy that.
If it's just a one-off thing, it's like, okay, it's one match.
Right.
It's one match.
Bro, he can have his own trainers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you could. Brock has his own jet. You can have your own trainers.
Yeah.
You can. WWE will be very, very easy. They'll cow out to you. Trust me,
Right.
they will.
But I look at this as, let's be mature adults about it for a second. All right? If a guy has this long grudge with people or a company or whatever it is, and he's finally at the point in his life, he went and did his MMA thing. He has done other things, business-wise, things that he wanted to get into. I think he did like the comic books and stuff like that.
True. And wasn't he doing analyzation for MMA for a period of time?
I think that I don't know if he was, to be honest. I haven't really followed him a lot lately, but
I thought he was doing something else with them after he was done participating.
I thought that there was talk that he may take a role like that with maybe with FS1, but then UFC went off of FS1.
Oh, okay.
But that's true, John. John said the doctor he had the beef with is now with AEW.
It's very interesting.
So that's something to look at, something to consider.
Don would assume this is the same one that told him that they had a tour in Europe and he clearly had a concussion, and they basically told him go on the trip.
Yeah. I look at it as this is a guy who, for whatever his motives are, is ready to just put it all behind him. There's been a 6-year grudge or 5-year grudge, however, whenever you want to
give or take
when it started, give or take 5 years, because he left in 2014. So it's been a 5-year grudge where, I think enough is enough at this point. He's left. He's had time. He's done things he wants to do.
He got married.
He got didn't he receive his didn't he receive some kind of papers on his wedding day? What was it?
His release forms. He received
was that what it was? I can't remember.
Yeah, like you're fired. He received it on the wedding day.
Yeah.
That's a nice gift. It's a gift he'll never forget. I'll tell you that right now.
But and also this opens the door for AJ to come back and maybe not an active in the ring, but to be more recognized again and brought back into this whole women's evolution. And honestly, she had a part in it.
She did. And I think it'd be welcomed back into the division because, she had for, 2-3 years, she was the women's division. There was nobody else, really. It was just her.
I think that there was probably hesitation on her end because of the relationship her husband had with the company.
Yeah.
And obviously she's going to stick by her husband. But now this does open the door now for her to be some sort of a participant in anything with this women's evolution now. Wouldn't shock me if she was a surprise entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble.
That would be actually very awesome if she was a surprise entrant.
Would not shock me. So book it down. I'm saying it now. I think that that's a very good possibility.
Surprise, not surprise.
Yeah.
Entrant into the Women's Rumble.
But yeah, I mean, I just that's what I think. I think that this is a guy who's ready to put it behind him. And who are we to judge someone who makes a decision for whatever the motives are? And that's the thing I didn't understand about these like punk lifers and truthers who were like, he turned his back on his people by going back to the man. Like, bro, he don't owe you nothing.
No. Plus also,
He's made it clear that he didn't owe you nothing, by the way, which is one of the things that I never understood. My heat, real quick before you get into that, I didn't mean to cut you off. But my heat with Punk is that, and I think that I grew more distaste for him, probably more so from the fan base, because these people who were like, idolize this guy and this and that, like, he has always made it clear it was a business. He's not a guy that when you're at a Cubs game, he wants to really be bothered. He's not like he never, there's no indication of anything online that he's like, oh, I'm still by my fans who stick by me and this and that and yada, yada, yada. No, he's made it very clear that this is my character life and this is my personal life. And I want those separated.
yeah.
I don't want to be bothered in supermarkets by people.
In a way, it's kind of like Undertaker.
Which is fine. I understand that.
It's
but
kind of like Undertaker. You don't know really much about Undertaker's personal life. Yeah, you may know who his wife is, but that's pretty much all you know. You don't know much else after that. It's like he has his character, The Undertaker, and then there's the life he has as Mark Calloway.
Right.
And you know nothing about that life because that's the way he wants it to be. And,
Right.
And that's perfectly fine. It's understandable to want your personal life completely separated from your professional life. I think everybody would like that. So that way that they don't take work home with them and they don't always get, flagged down because that can get annoying after a while.
I'm going to use an extreme example, but this is kind of how I feel about it. It's like the people who are like, Christopher Columbus sailed the 7 seas and discovered America. And we are so grateful to him for it. Like, the dude was not really the good guy. And,
no, he
if you know anything about the guy and his actual reputation, no, it's not true. But we're gonna build up this character around him and make that to be a real life form.
No.
And that's where I started building more tension towards him because of more so about the Punk lifers. Like, I was as big of a CM Punk fan as you could ever find. But when all that shit went down and then you had the psychos that are his fans that would go through and like basically every word this guy said was the gospel. And I'm like, you're creating this mythological character as a real human being, and he's not. He's not that guy.
No.
He didn't give a shit about CM Punk chants. He don't fucking care.
But the funny part of it is like that was ridiculous because and that's what really, that eventually turned me off to the whole idea of like, ever wanting to see Punk back in the ring again because then that's just like great because then that gives validity to these jack-offs who chant it when something stupid happens. And WWE's like, yeah, it was fucking stupid. But chanting CM Punk doesn't make it any less stupid,
right.
And on top of it, then you hear it in you hear it everywhere you go. You hear it in the indie shows. You would hear it even in AEW. But I will notice this, though. There are more fans now than there ever have been that will immediately try to shut those fans up, which is like, thank God. There's finally people who are strong enough to say, you know what, shut the fuck up, okay? Yeah. The guy has made it poignantly clear where he stands on things. Just let it the fuck go. Like, maybe there was some problems between the two parties when he left. And yes, CM Punk was one of the more entertaining aspects of the TV show when he did leave. Yes, it stung that he left, but he did it on his own accord, and he did it on his own. He could have stayed. He could have stayed and played number 2. He could have. He chose not to do that. And he chose not to go into wrestling in the indies. He chose to leave it all together. That was his choice. He could have gone to the indies. He could have, and he could have made a shit ton of money. He could have gone to Japan, and he would have been a huge star in NJPW. And when this AEW thing eventually started up, you could bet your ass he could have been a major part of it. And you see what I'm going with this? Like, yeah, he could have done all those things.
There was a lot of alternatives.
There was a lot, but he chose to go the route he did, so get over it. It's like he chose to walk away from the business. You can't blame the guy for doing it. If anything, I didn't blame him. At that time, the business could be very toxic, and I could understand why he didn't want to be around it at the time. I could totally understand that.
Right, and I mean, he was a guy who changed a lot of the culture, and his footmark on the history of the business is undeniable.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But again, when I look at these people and they make the man to be the same as the character, it just made me insane. And then it makes me resent him. And it is what it is. Like I'm not gonna lie though. I did not see myself marking out the way I did when the music hit. And it wasn't a surprise. I think we assumed at some point with how since StarCast, when we talked about it, even though we haven't seen all of it.
He played coy.
He was very specific with the way that he chose to address it, WWE, very and really just a whole smorgasbord of different topics.
Punk's alter ego of shit on WWE Punk, that guy's gone.
That's what it seemed like,
and that's exactly what it was when he first left. Now it's totally different.
And you know what? Maybe there was a little bit of humble pie with the rough run that he had in UFC.
Maybe, and maybe the lawsuit also on top of it.
I'm sure that's something else. It's just interesting, and that's the thing that I think the other thing that I had an issue with, which then made me resent him. I don't deny that Punk's feelings in the iconic Colt Cabana podcast were genuine in how he felt. But we all know when you are in a situation and your emotions are that high, you have your perception of things, and then there's the other side, and those people have their perception. And the people who took every word literal to heart on every single thing that he said, I just can't buy it.
No, and when you talk about the second side of the issue, you do have to look at it from WWE's perspective. I mean, WWE for a long time had to rely on Austin, Rock, Taker, and Brock, who fucked them, because Brock did fuck them when he decided to leave. And when he did, they had nobody to pass the torch on. Then they stumble into John Cena. They realize, well, we could create the next big star out of him, and he became about as big as Hulk Hogan did, and combine him with that, it's just like, yeah, naturally they are going to feature John over you because John's drawing more money. It's like it just made sense business-wise why they did it. Was it the right thing to do? Maybe not. Maybe in a moral sense of things, maybe it's just like, okay, is it truly fair to, cut this guy off at the knees just so that Cena could go over him? It's like, well, maybe not, but at the same time, what does the money tell you? Where's the profit tell you to go here? The profit tells you every time in business where you're going. But it's not because you're bad, and it's not because we don't like you. It's not because you don't have your part in the show. It's because this guy is the show. This is the guy that, for better or for worse, whether you wanted to boo him or you wanted to cheer him at the time, people wanted to see him either lose or they wanted to see him win. You can't deny that, and that's what the situation was at the time he was in WWE.
No, right, and see, I'm going to slightly disagree with you on one fact. You spot on a lot of things you said there. I would say, was the decision the right or wrong one? I would say it was the right decision, because CM Punk of 2013 or 2012 or 2011, that 3-year stretch, would be the ideal guy to build AEW and their brand around with the direction of that company. WWE is a publicly traded company. They are a more for the most. Well, it's tough to say with the Lashley thing going on now, but they are, for all intents and purposes, they are technically a more family-oriented, driven business.
To be fair, that Lashley thing is not friendly to children, adults, or even elderly. It's friendly to nobody.
Makes me really uncomfortable. But you can even go back, like, to say that CM Punk wasn't given opportunities.
He was.
He went over Cena so many times.
Yeah.
Won titles over Cena.
Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
Money in the Bank. Held the title for 300 and...
It was a while. He had the record up until
400 and some days. 400 and some days.
something like that. And then Brock.
Brian, look it up. I want to say it might be 426, but I could be wrong on that.
And he turned both heel and babyface in that single title run too. But and then Brock broke it, and then AJ broke Brock's run. So There we go.
But during that time,
434.
okay, I wasn't too far. I was 8 days off. I feel pretty good about that. Nice. But I look at that and I'm like he wasn't drawing. He wasn't drawing because I'm gonna say it now, and you guys can hate me, whatever. Wrestling fans are cheap. Especially these hardcore fans are super cheap. They are. Listen, I've been in the memorabilia industry. You sell sports shit like baseball, football. People buy things at the value that they are at. When you try to sell something in a wrestling community, they want something great for nothing. Something that's worth $100, they'll give you $25. That's literally the way it is. But the people who take their kids will spend the $35 on the T-shirts at the house shows and this and that. And John Cena drew.
He did.
He appealed and he drew. And even adults, whether people want him in or not, the more vocalized ones are the types that follow Punk. But I can tell you go to those events, you would see the purple John Cena Barney shirt in the crowd, the Fruity Pebbles shirts in the crowd. So I would, business-wise, they made the right decision. But for him to make it out like he wasn't featured, like he wasn't given opportunities, the guy was 1 and 1A in a lot of ways with John Cena from 2011 to 2013.
Yeah.
Right up until probably the last, I would say his downfall started around Money in the Bank 2013 in Philly. Maybe right after when he lost to Brock.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
think
say
that's
that,
where
yeah.
the dissension of his started, the free fall sort of.
Yeah. I mean, but and you look back at that time period and you're just like, yeah, I mean, sure. Was there a lot of silly shit that happened in WWE that made no sense? Yes, but the main event scene made complete sense when you look back on it. And trust me, I wasn't a massive fan of John Cena. I hated his guts, but after a while you get older, you get more mature, and you realize it's a business. That's why he was featured, and that's why he was champion all the time. That's why he went over a lot of guys that I would rather have seen carry the belt. You want to know why? Because that guy that I'd rather see carry the belt, he wasn't moving the goddamn merch, and he wasn't putting asses in the seats. That's just how it is. The person who puts asses in the seats holds the championship. And you can't and then the same people who complain about the Punk thing, they'll go back to the Attitude Era. They'll always go back to the Attitude Era, and they'll always say, yeah, but then they changed the belt here and they changed the belt there. It's like, yes, but Vince Russo was fucking booking the goddamn show half the time, and Russo changed the belt 30,000 goddamn times in 1 year. He did it in WCW, and the damn thing was dead by the end of the fucking year.
I'm going to go back even before then, because you're on fire today, Matty. I'll even take it a step further and go back, because you look at Hogan. You brought up Hogan. Was Hogan the best worker?
No, not in the world.
No. Who were the best workers? Savage,
Steamboat.
I'm even going to go beyond them. You want to talk about a guy who would be the equivalent to CM Punk in that era? Roddy Piper.
Piper, yeah.
He was a pipe bomb waiting to explode, and the dude could work in the ring.
Yeah.
Much better worker than Hogan was.
He was a Piper with a touch of Roberts, with a little bit of touch of Jake the Snake.
And but it's the way that the industry has been. Has it taken away from Piper's legacy that he was never a world champion? Like, we're not talking NFL, like legitimate pro sports here where people can knock Dan Marino because he never won a ring, and that takes him out of a conversation. Like, it's not like that with sports entertainment and pro wrestling.
Yeah, and because that's the thing. That's not simulation. This is simulation.
Right.
There's a difference. But also on top of that, too, the one belt Rowdy held, well, two belts Rowdy held, no one really cares that he held 2 championships. They don't give a shit about that. Yeah, he won the Intercontinental title, and then he had a good match with Bret Hart at WrestleMania, and he lost the belt back to him. No one really remembers that.
Right.
And then secondly, he won the tag titles with Flair when he was like 60. It's like no one really remembers that unless, you're like us and you have that weird memory of silly moments like that when they beat the Spirit Squad to get the damn things. But anyway. Well, at least Dolph Ziggler returned from that.
Yeah.
And then he got buried once again. But anyway, that's a different story that's a whole other can
But that was always my point. It's like is the dude held the title numerous times for one of the longest at that time in the modern era. To say he wasn't given he was given more opportunities than Roddy Piper, one of the icons of this sport.
Yeah.
Absolute icons of this sport, and who he has drawn comparisons to because of his mic skills.
And the thing, too, is it's like the biggest match of Piper's career that could have happened didn't happen at WrestleMania. They built up his rivalry with Hulk Hogan to the point where it looked like that would be a world championship match, but they didn't do it at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
They had Hogan team with Mr. T, and they had Piper and Orndorff, was it? I think it was Orndorff, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And that was the tag team match for the very first main event of WrestleMania. That matchup would have been great for Piper. He probably would have still lost. Hogan would still have gone over at the end of the day. Does that take anything away from him?
Nope.
No. They lost the main event anyway, him and Orndorff. Did that
what
take
the difference
away?
between Piper and Punk is?
What?
Piper wouldn't have gone over Hogan. Punk went over Cena a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
He went over a lot of guys in that era.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, man. I mean, think about it. You look back at some, really good talents that came around in certain periods that never got a world championship. It's like, well, it's because of 2 things. Yes, sometimes the booker makes a mistake. Yes, they don't handle someone properly when they're building up a character. Sometimes they rush it. Sometimes they don't push it fast enough. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they plant a seed and they never follow through on it. Fine. I will give you all that one. That happens. But sometimes, no matter how hard they push him, no matter how hard they try and get him over, no matter how many times he may go over the top guy in the company, if he isn't putting asses in the seats, he's not getting the top billing at the end of the day.
And even away from that, even though it was a loss, go back even further. The spot with The Undertaker at WrestleMania is now, well, at the time was reserved, and still is when he's there, for people to be put on a huge, huge program. I mean, when you go past like King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 11, look at who he had. Kevin Nash. Sid. Kane. He hung Boss Man at 15, which was unusual.
What the hell, Boss Brood? And there's 2 world champions in that mix, too.
He was hurt and wasn't at 16, but then you go 17, Triple H, 18, Ric Flair, 19. I think he was hurt for 19. Oh,
no,
19,
it was
19.
A handicap match between A-Train and Big Show.
That one was terrible.
Well, that was a nothing program.
Right.
Yeah.
That was to get a guy over who was terrible.
Yeah.
Nathan Jones, was that his
name?
Yeah,
it was Nathan Jones, and he made one. I think they realized, oh, shit, this guy's too green. We can't put him in the actual match.
20, Kane. 21, Randy Orton. 22, Mark Henry. 23, who did he have 23? JBL. Was it JBL?
No, that was Batista. He won the world title.
Right. Batista.
24, Edge.
24, Edge.
Won the world title.
25, 26, Shawn Michaels. 27, 28, Triple H. 29, CM Punk. 30, Brock Lesnar. 31, Bray Wyatt. But unfortunately, they were trying to build that program. Wyatt ended up being hurt right before the match.
Ooh, that sucks.
32, Shane. 33, Roman Reigns. 34, John Cena, even though it was like a short spot.
It was the best you could get out of him,
And
probably.
nothing at 35. But look at all those names since WrestleMania 11. Hall of Fame talents minus Nathan freaking Jones and Albert. Yeah. All Hall of Fame talent he's worked with. And CM Punk is right in the thick of it.
And that is excluding, the Hall of Famers that he worked with at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
I mean, he worked with Roberts, Superfly. He wrestled those guys at WrestleMania. Superfly was his very first WrestleMania match,
You're in that conversation of iconic and Hall of Fame talents.
Yeah. I mean,
and he may have arguably gotten the last great match out of Undertaker.
Probably, to be honest with you.
One-on-one great match out of Taker.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. The guy didn't have it that bad. I've never understood why people made this guy out to be like some martyr. It makes no sense.
No, a martyr is someone who never got the opportunity to become what they could have been. That's called getting buried, and it happens in wrestling, but you need to know the difference between getting buried and you're getting your spot. You have your specific spot in the show. You're not top billing, but that doesn't mean that you're not valued.
Right.
You're just not top billing. You're still getting paid a good shit ton of money to do what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
So what's the fucking difference, you know?
Let's get to the fam where I knew that conversation was going to go long.
It was bound to.
Let's get to the fam. David Roska, that MJF and Y2J segment was so awesome last night on Dynamite. I agree, brother.
That was fun, yeah.
He says CM Punk's the greatest WWE champion of all time. I don't agree with that.
No.
Rob says, will we see Punk back in the ring, or is this purely a commentary job? Who's next? Colt Cabana. I think that we will address that. I think we will see him back in the ring.
And I don't think that it's too far of the realm possibility that maybe one day with his Fox deal and everything that he could commentate one day in WWE. It's a possibility he could do that.
I don't think it, but it could be.
I'm not saying him on Raw or Smack.
Right.
I'm saying maybe he'll be on like the panels or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that could possibly happen.
I would agree with that. Roska says CM Punk will win the 2020 Royal Rumble. Eileen Pompey says, good evening, gentlemen. CM Punk with kissy face. Or with lips. Andy says, oh, look, it's the B team of A2D wrestling shows. Bro, we're on part-time, and we still kick your ass. Have a great show, boys. I love you, buddy, but you're an idiot. John C. Danzo, hello, gentlemen. What's up, John? Eric Jacinto, what's up, boys? What's up, Eric? Frank says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. To answer the poll, I'm quite surprised by his return. Not sure how it will affect his CFFC contract. I think he will compete in the ring, but we might have to wait a while. I agree with. Ooh, my throat got
Where did that come
scratchy for a second there.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. He says can't. I agree with him. It could take a little bit. He says I can't wait for the Full Gear talk. We're going to be getting to that shortly, Frank. Andy Ritter, it's not going to be anytime soon, but I do think Punk gets back in the ring at some point. Hell, do backstage for a long while, but he'll get that itch. John says, has the Interrant survived with the return of Phil Brooks, of that Phil Brooks guy? Eric says, no, he's getting a big payday from Fox Sports. That's why he's doing this. I'd love to see him wrestle again, but not getting my hopes up on that again. Did that too much from when he left. 2015 until like 2015 or 16. John says Io Shirai and Mia Yim was awesome. Yeah, it was. What a brutal ladder. Did you see Mia Yim's face explode?
Is it bad to say that I did not see NXT?
You're an idiot. You're an idiot, Matty. Nah, it was a great show. Bill says, have a great show, fellas. Don't see Punk getting back in there for a while later, boys. Thanks for popping in, Bill. John says that promo Punk cut was real close to the one Piper cut. I don't think that's by accident. John, Eric. Sorry. So we got a couple names here for guys. So I'll pause there. Let's go through our 5. First off, you can just answer it if you want to add more to. Do you think he's going to get back in the ring, Mr. Brodo?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I figured you were kind of on that. Road.
If he's back in this role, he's going full throttle. You know what I'm saying? Like so many people. I wonder, like, if there was even a betting line, over the years on like the odds that CM Punk would be back.
The over/under of Punk showing up.
Yeah, like the percentages. People, we spent the last handful of years hearing people say it's impossible. He'll never be back. He won't not only return to the WWE, but he won't ever return to wrestling. Period. And here he is. You know what I'm saying? I know some could say, "Oh, it's not WWE, it's FS1." What's the name on the freaking building? Like honestly, like what's the show called? Like come on, can we be serious here? So I would be very surprised if he isn't back in some form within the next handful of years. Because it's not going to be too long because he's getting up there in age. He's talked about that too.
If he holds off and he never wrestles again, I will actually have gained a little bit of respect for him. Like, damn, he resisted the urge to actually not get back in the ring. I give him that one because that's a tough temptation to not go back.
But you don't resist money.
Yeah.
All right, so let's give me your 5. You guys have Ryan, since you're already on your 5.
I have like 19, but I have 5.
I had like 6 or 7 off the top. I'm actually going to give. Well, depending on what you guys give, I'm going to give 6, and I'm going to give the reasons why I'm giving my 6.
I'm going to give 6, but my 6th is kind of like a wild card. It's kind of like not so likely. I have it in order, okay?
So 6 would be an honorable mention. Gotcha.
Yes, and I'll say 6 last. So my 5, number 5 is Matt Riddle.
Okay.
I think just given for obvious reasons, I think if you put Matt Riddle in with anybody, it's going to be really good.
Plus, they also have the MMA background to both of them.
Exactly. So I think that would be fun. 4 might surprise you. It's John Cena. It's John Cena.
You want one more?
I think for 2 reasons. Number 1, I would love to see one more because that's one of my favorite feuds growing up.
It was great.
It was good rivalry.
2, that could serve for one of 2 purposes. As either a retirement match for both of them, because that would make a lot of sense, or that I think would be the obvious choice for like a crown jewel main event. That would be like the return one. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like they did with Cena and Triple H, do Cena and Punk. I think that would be huge.
I wouldn't hate that.
Number 3, obviously AJ Styles. Do I need to say any more? 2. My favorite wrestler on the planet, that's Samoa Joe. I think it was very interesting that he was also on the show, and they asked him his reaction and stuff. I thought that was very interesting. And they've obviously have history back from Ring of Honor, so I think that would be really cool. Some people could label them as like not the founders of Ring of Honor, but like some of the originals. It was those guys.
They put it on the map.
Yeah. So to have that kind of all these years later in the main event scene in WWE, I think that'd be very interesting.
I would love to see Nigel McGuinness though do the color for it.
Yeah,
that would be great to have 3 ROH guys right there.
Wouldn't shock me.
That would be awesome.
And my number 1, I think it would be a great match. I think the parallels are too close. It would make too much sense. It would get people. It would break the internet. It's CM Punk versus Kevin Owens. CM Punk and Kevin Owens are the same. Kevin Owens, you could say, is this era's CM Punk, to where he is the anti-establishment. He is the people's champion. He is the people's kind of ambassador. He is the voice of the people. It would make far too much sense to me. And I think it would be a lot of fun. The promos would be awesome. The Twitter feuds would be awesome. The tweets back and forth, and obviously the match would be really cool.
So I'm with you on those 3 for sure.
And then I was going to say my 6th, my wild card, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, I don't need to see that. Not at this point.
Listen, that was the dream match for years, and I've heard so many times, we'll never get to see
40-year-old Phil and 56-year-old Steve Austin.
They put freaking Goldberg and Undertaker in a ring. They put Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar in a ring. They put Braun Strowman in the gypsy, what's his name?
Tyson Fury.
Gypsy King.
They have no morals, Chrome. They have no morals. And that would be in Crown Jewel.
I mean, no shame. Yeah. No shame with WWE when it comes to money. I mean, hell, they left their own wrestlers in that country when they were being held hostage. So, there you go.
And yes, I know it's not happening. That's why it's 6.
All
All right, for me, 5, I'd like to see him face Seth Rollins. I think that'd be a fun match. And I was with the Matt Riddle one, but I'm going to take that one out. Try not to have repeats here. I'd actually like to see him face Roman. I think it'd be an interesting contest between the two of them, honestly. You have the face of WWE now facing a guy who was against the face of WWE back in the day. Number 3, I would actually, call me crazy, Edge got medically cleared. It was medically cleared. I'd actually be interested to see those two face each other. Only because it's like, okay, two guys who have not wrestled in a long time. Yes, that could be a recipe for disaster, but at the same time, though, it's like, if they're going to throw Undertaker and Goldberg at us, I would like to see them throw Edge and Punk at us, just to see what the hell would happen. But it'd be a Saudi show match.
Yeah, pardon me if I'm just blanking on this. Did they ever have a major feud?
No. And
Isn't that odd?
The only interaction those two had regarding a championship was Punk cashed in on Edge one night on Raw and took the title to SmackDown.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah.
That was what started it all.
Because
Punk, or you got to remember that Edge was done at WrestleMania 27 very abruptly.
Yeah, I got you.
So,
But still, I mean, they were around SmackDown, at the same time.
but that was kind of around when CM Punk kind of had his rise. There was
Really?
no notable. Yeah, it was. It was.
I thought that. I thought. What about when he was like the Straight Edge Society and Edge was the babyface? No, nothing.
not to my knowledge. I don't
Interesting.
think.
Okay.
I don't think he faced Edge once.
Wow.
And last time Edge was in the last major program Edge had was Jericho, I think, before he suffered that injury.
Del Rio.
Alberto Del
Oh,
Rio.
Del Rio. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, how about
I was
that?
meaning a meaningful
It's
program.
fine. You should.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. 2 for me. I was gonna say Cena, but just because like that was such a great rivalry back in the day. Like that would be just pure junk food for people who hate Cena and for people who love Cena.
Pure junk food.
It would be, because then it would give people a moment to relive that, where they can boo the shit out of John Cena and cheer the shit out of CM Punk, just for old time's sake. Not that you're like in love with Punk again or something like that. It's like, we did it back at Money in the Bank. Why not? One more time. One more for the road. Why not? But I would say anybody else on the roster I'd like to see him face. I would actually like to see him face Almas. I would like to see that match. I think that'd be fun. Almas with the Lucha Libre style. Punk would have the ability to counter it, I think, because when he wrestled Morrison back in the day, those two, you wouldn't think they'd be able to mix, but they had some really crazy matches for the ECW title way back in the day. And I think Almas and Morrison kind of have a similar style with each other. And then the final person, and I think this would be kind of fun, Gargano.
Oh, that would be great.
And the reason why I say Gargano is because Gargano's always been billed as an underdog, even as a heel. Be like, Punk was an underdog back in the day because he was always going up against Cena, and Cena was the guy. You have underdog versus underdog facing off with each other. Gargano can be the heel still. Punk will be the babyface coming back for a match, and it would be great. It'd be one of those moments where it's just like, holy shit. It'd be fun. It'd be kind of like passing the torch on to another guy who's sort of like the face of the up-and-coming talent, when Punk was a face of the up-and-coming talent for a period of time when he was in ECW.
See, I think I would. Okay, all right. So the 3 you named were on my list, hands down. I'm going to go a step further with AJ and with Samoa Joe, and I'm going to throw Daniel Bryan in as well, because if you go back, particularly the Summer of Punk in ROH and the epic matches he had with AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels is another guy that was, really running around in ROH at that time. You go back and you look at those matches and rewatch them, man, would I love to see one time on a WWE stage. Just kind of let them go out and do it. Particularly AJ Styles would be one. And Samoa, the mic work now. Flash forward from 2005, 15 years later, between Samoa Joe and him would be insane.
And the best part is they kind of have a good relationship with ROH. They may actually be able to use footage of when they were in
They use
ROH.
footage all the time for that, so for sure.
They'd be able to use footage and actually show the background to people who aren't educated to that period.
Yeah, and you're spot on with Kevin Owens. The promos that you would get from that, the parallels, including Kevin Owens and ROH, are very, very similar. I feel like that program could be spectacular just to hear those two go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be on my list. I would look at Velveteen Dream as a guy who I think would put a fantastic match. If I'm going NXT, Gargano's a great choice. I'll be honest, I want to see Ciampa.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Tommaso Ciampa and him would be amazing. And I would want to see a heel Ciampa work with CM Punk.
That'd be fun.
I would love to see that because CM Punk doesn't need to be the heel. His character is the same as a face. He's still a smart ass.
Oh, yeah.
Who could cut a promo, over anybody.
Well, yeah. He wouldn't be a heel in any program, really. Like, anybody that he's facing, he's not a heel. And if he's facing a babyface, it's just babyface versus babyface. That's pretty much what we're booking right now, basically.
Yeah. Ricochet is another guy I would love to see him work with.
Ricochet, okay.
I would like to see him work with some of these younger guys. See, you guys kind of threw me for a loop. You took a couple of mine there.
I'm surprised you haven't named one. I thought you were going to be all over one of them.
I'm curious who it is now.
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bray Wyatt.
I don't want him to work with him.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't know if the Fiend gimmick would transition all that well with Punk.
No.
Okay. I just don't think it would.
Yeah, I don't think that works at all.
Like, if you had told me Moxley came back and he was allowed to be Moxley and him facing the Fiend, all right, I could buy that for about 2 seconds because Moxley's crazy. So, but Punk, nah, he's not the same. It wouldn't work.
Would you want to see, go ahead.
Match-wise, he would have to carry the promos big time.
Oh.
But I would love to see him and Nakamura work together.
Nakamura would be a good one, yeah.
I feel like those two, particularly if you can channel back Nakamura from NXT and New Japan, damn those matches. And you could have Nakamura be the face, get him back to that, and then have Punk work as the heel and carry a lot of the promos. Oh, man, that would be hot.
Yeah.
What about Aleister Black?
I was thinking of Aleister, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I didn't say him just because CM Punk would have to, again, he would have to talk a lot. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, I don't know if it's high profile enough.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of like the same with the Andrade thing. Like, I would love to see both of the matches, but
I mean, nobody is knocking on this guy's door in 4 months to pick a fight other than Cesaro. So exactly. I don't know if I see it.
Yeah.
I hate that, by the way.
It's awful.
It is terrible.
It's horrible.
It's weird. I don't even know what they're doing with him anymore at this point.
They don't either.
It's like
I think they're stuck in a stall right now with him.
It's just put him back in put him back on Wednesdays then.
Yeah.
Just put him back on Wednesday.
And do it right this time. Don't have him fucking talk.
Or
just have him go out and just crush
or
a motherfucker.
Paul Heyman can just take him out of this stupid fucking dark room that he's sitting in and be like, bro, let's go out there and work.
They haven't done it in 4 months. I doubt they're going to do it in 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah. But
and this has to be a Heyman thing because Heyman has been running Raw.
I think it's a Vince thing because they were doing it before. They did this as soon as he came up before Heyman took over.
I don't think
Wait a minute.
did. I think Heyman was in charge when this started.
No, because he was doing it on both brands
right.
though. Wasn't he doing it on both brands?
Not the pick a fight thing.
No, but pick a fight.
He was doing that. This whole come and knock on my door and pick that's been since Heyman has been in charge.
I'm talking about strictly backstage promo wise. I mean, that's.
I don't care if the guy cuts a promo. I think he can talk. It's.
I don't want him talking.
It's the direction now that the promos have gone to where it's the same stupid shit every week of him sitting in a dark room asking someone to knock on his door.
It's one of those things where I just feel like it's like he doesn't need to. He really doesn't need to talk, and he doesn't need to ask for fights. It's just like, I just want him to go out there and I want him to just crush a motherfucker. Just
Yeah.
It's like whatever poor sap has to get in the ring has to deal with him. Fine. Then you get someone to challenge him that is on the roster after he beats up a few jobbers just for the shift to reintroduce him to the audience because now we have to do this. And it has to be somebody that can be legitimately someone he could beat, that could take the loss, but could help elevate him and get him moving forward again.
I'm going to throw one more wild card name.
Same with me.
And this is very not something I think people would think of. Because I'm trying to look at young guys who could really work with him. Buddy Murphy.
I thought about him.
That's an interesting one.
It's just the same thing I run into
I'm
the problem with
intrigued by
Andrade.
that one. I very much am.
It's the same problem I run into with the Andrade. And,
But the whole thing with him is, though, he could come in and say, I don't give a shit about AJ Styles and these guys. I'm going to – and he could use this in his promos. I want to go against the guys that they didn't give me a chance – that weren't given the chances that I was asking for back then. You know, if you're not going to give it to him, I'll step in the ring and give it to them.
I will say my honorable mention, Adam Cole. And the reason why I would say that is because Adam Cole is kind of he's become the face of NXT in a way. And I feel like that'd be really fun to see him and Punk face off each other because I think they would have pretty good back and forth microphone-wise.
See, I'm the opposite. I think Adam Cole would get exposed big time on the mic by CM Punk. Yeah. I don't think he could hang with him.
Nope.
And I wouldn't want to see that. I feel like that aspect would do more damage to Adam Cole. So I mean, the matches would be great, but I don't know if I would want to see that.
I think we all agree that if he's going to come back, it's most likely going to be a crown jewel thing.
At least the first time.
The name I was about to mention, John just brought it up. What about Triple H?
No.
If they want to get the people talking.
I know. I mean it's a hot program that they could definitely do. I don't need to see it though.
I mean, they did it already. They did it back in the day. I don't really think that's
Cena
not
back in the day.
I lost a lot of comments, by the way. I'm going to need you to catch us up.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing with the Cena thing. The thing about the Cena was that those were the two guys at their peak of their abilities, facing off with each other. They were the two major stars of the company, which naturally you have to have. But Triple H was kind of he was the establishment guy facing the anti-establishment guy. It's just okay, he already did that. It's now all the shit's happened. It's in the past. Triple H has even said, I'm willing to forget everything with Punk. So then it's okay, then it's just all right, well, yeah. It's I just don't see it. I don't really want to see it anyway because, no offense, but last time Hunter was in the ring, he injured himself.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see him injure himself against Punk.
I'm surprised he's not on Team NXT for Survivor Series.
Triple H?
Although, did they announce that team yet?
Not that I'm aware of, but I would be surprised if they do that because the last time he was involved with the Survivor Series team was when that's when Sting showed up, right. I believe. No, it was after that when he
screwed over Kurt.
Yes.
He
so I don't see
him
them doing that
pinned.
again. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe Punk can come and screw Triple H?
It's too soon.
It's too soon. The wounds are still
now
too
we're going
fresh.
too fast. Now we're going too fast.
All right, we're going to go to break. We will get to your comments, guys. I know people drop some names in there, and we'll do that. We're going to take a quick break. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Periscope, if you're on Instagram, make the jump over to face. I can't talk. Make the jump over to YouTube or Facebook for the second half of the show. We'll touch a little bit more in here. I want to read some of these comments off, as well as we're going to go through AEW. Recap the pay-per-view. We're also going to try to get in a little bit of NXT. So, Maddie, who's our sponsors, buddy?
Our sponsor for today's show is Specialized Physical Therapy. What is it, Dr. Paul Vidal, right?
A handsome man.
Yeah, he is located in Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton, New Jersey. Take care of you easy. And you can find him on the web at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com.
And don't forget about ATS Sports Picks, guys. ATSSportsPicks.com, promo code. Well, it's not open, but A2D. Get on there, A2D. Get your 20% off your first-time purchase on a package and win some money. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Hey, 'Cause 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 '
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com, here in the Real Talk Studios in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the Dr. Paul Vidal. You can find him in Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton, New Jersey. He'll take care of you nice and easy. And all you got to do is find him on the web at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com.
I gave you a sweet little finger wave there. Big Daddy crossing through. Our topic of conversation again, guys, brought to you by ATS Sports Picks, ATSSportsPicks.com. What's that promo code, Maddie? Show it to him, baby. A2D. Type that in. You get 20% off first-time purchase packages. Win some money because we love when the family is happy. Makes us happy.
Yep.
So make sure you check them out. Our topic, obviously, CM Punk appearing on WWE programming. He will be on again next week, Tuesday night, on WWE Backstage. CM Punk will step in the ring, in a WWE ring, in an active capacity. Agree or disagree? We all agreed that it will happen. We named some interesting and some kind of, I guess, not conventional names that we threw out there as well. But we want to hear what the fam has. So I know Mr. Brodo's going to pull that up because Facebook did what it does to me on here and wiped out half the comments.
Screwed you once again.
So Eric Jacinto has his list, not in particular order. He has Seth, Reigns, Bryan, Joe, and Styles.
Like it.
John C. Danzo goes from 1 to 5. I'll start at 5, work my way to 1. He has number 5, Nakamura. 4, Ricochet. 3, Seth Rollins. 2, Daniel Bryan. Number 1, Samoa Joe.
Nice.
And then John C. Danzo was talking with CM Punk that he says that, oh, yeah, we talked about this earlier. The doctor he had beef with was in AEW.
Yep.
Frank was saying he was Chrome. I don't know what he was referring to, but he says, my brother does photography for CFFC.
Oh, when we were talking about was he doing work with one of the MMA promotions.
Gotcha. And he says, and my brother had lunch with him one time. Cool story.
Nice.
John C. Danzo says, question, do you think we will get back? I think he's talking about Paige. Do you think Paige will get back into the ring? I mean, Daniel did, and if she returns a match with AJ Lee since Paige beat her for the title in her debut.
What I'll say with Paige, and you can let me know if you agree. I know Bryan came back.
Yes.
That was a misdiagnosis. I would put, I think more of a signal if Paige can get back in the ring will be if Edge can actually get back in the ring.
Yeah.
He was cleared, but he wasn't cleared. Like, he was cleared to take bumps. They haven't said he hasn't acknowledged that he can get fully back into the ring. But it sounds like he can.
I think the reason why is because I think he wants it to be like WWE probably wants to keep it a surprise.
Maybe.
For if he was to do an in-ring appearance.
He stepped away from the E&C podcast of
True.
Awesomeness.
Also, they had a signing apparently not long ago, and they canceled that. Which, again, is one of those things, okay, he might show up on WWE television soon.
Could be
so.
could be something along the lines of he's training to get back. Who knows?
Could be.
But I would say if I wouldn't use Daniel Bryan as the measuring stick for Paige, I would look more at Edge. And because he has the same injury, it's the same thing that Sheamus has. It's the spinal stenosis. So that's a big deal. That can be crippling. That'll be very telling. Anything else over there, Mr. Bruno?
Yes, sir. John also said with CM Punk, 2020 WWE Hall of Fame headliner.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's going to open the door for that now as well.
Yeah.
Maybe 2020, maybe later. I don't know, but that's an interesting point. That's a great point, John.
I think this is David's list for CM Punk opponents. The NWO, The Rock, The Undertaker, APA, Brother Love, Tommy Dreamer, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
So he wants CM Punk to take on the entire NWO. Does he mean NWO Black, Hollywood, Wolfpack, 2000?
That's where I can pick it up, by the way. I got that.
I just wanted to know if there was
there.
a specific. Also, does he want the Blue World Order, the Latino World Order? Does he want to face any one of those guys?
Listen, the options are crazy.
He does say MJF. He loved the MJF Y2J segment. We're going to get into that in a minute. Andy says 434. I don't know what that means.
434 days.
Oh,
CM
okay.
Punk.
Oh, man, I'm really behind on these comments. Andy said, I agree, Chrome. Punk's downfall began on August 19th, the day after SummerSlam 2013, when he started a feud with Axel for the IC title and never beat him to capture that title. And he said, we're going down the rabbit hole. Let's go, Brodo. Grab the rope.
I think that's when we were talking non-wrestling.
Yeah, John says, I have an idea when Mike is back. Mike's not going to be back, at least not anytime soon. He says, just like my bad gimmick ranking, how about your Mount Rushmore, both wrestlers and managers? We could do that. We can add that segment in. He says, Roscoe says, Undertaker versus Lex Luger at WrestleMania. I don't know what you're talking about.
Undertaker versus Lex Luger.
Brother, I have no idea what you're talking about. Frank says Taker versus Giant Gonzalez is the Taker is the GOAT of Taker Mania matches. I don't know why, I love WrestleMania 9. It's one of my favorites. Andy says, what are these lists? I stepped away for a minute. Oh, okay, so he caught it. Frank, I don't know what you're talking about, David. I'm sorry.
What is happening in this chat?
Andy says Cole, Joe, Styles, Ricochet, Rollins, and Gargano as an honorable mention. He's still talking about some weird stuff that didn't happen. I don't know. Ritter says Punk was in a triple threat with Edge and Hardy back in 2009 after taking the title from Hardy via cashing in. It's the only time they've ever touched, unless you want to count Survivor Series 2006 in Philly. That's true. You could technically say that the two were in a match together. It was Team DX versus Team RKO. I do remember that.
Yeah, but not like, okay, it's more of they never had an actual rivalry thing going.
Rosca says Rangers 1, Lightning 7.
Okay.
John says no name, no one mentioned the AAA. That's the one you brought up earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Andy says they did not announce NXT's team yet. It's 8-1 now. Carmelo to the Trailblazers. Thank you, Ralph Delavecchia. Tom, my boys, to the poll. He agrees. Thanks, buddy. Let's move on. AEW Full Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Who loved this card?
Depends on what part of the card you're talking about.
I feel like I got more heat than I should have for my opinion that this was the worst AEW pay-per-view.
I just found it predictable.
I
don't
know. I think for me, I think Fyter Fest is still their worst in my opinion.
I didn't watch Fyter Fest.
Yeah,
if you ever do, then you'll probably have that as your worst.
We got all kinds of run-ins today.
And I will still.
Now we got Sexy Greg walking through.
I will still say that to this day that's
still
the worst
wearing
one.
shorts.
Still wearing shorts in 40-degree weather.
Wearing in 20-degree weather.
Were you wearing shorts yesterday in 20-degree weather?
Yeah, he was.
You're a psycho.
And he said it was frowned upon for me to ask him why.
You are a psycho.
What do you mean? I sit in the car and then I walk 5 feet to the room.
Fuck that, dude. It's cold.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just saying that
he threw me off with the shorts.
One day he's just gonna,
I love you, buddy. You know that.
One day he's going to come in with a pair of John Cena jorts, and then that's
I shouldn't
then
be
the world's
surprised.
going to
I just saw Greg for the first. I've been friends with Greg for like 10 years. I just saw him in long pants for the first time like 3 weeks ago. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
But
it still doesn't amaze me. It still doesn't cease to amaze me though when it's so cold. God bless him. He does it. He rides it.
I thought
It's
it
his
was
gimmick.
the most WWE-esque AEW pay-per-view to date, meaning very predictable.
There was a few things that were very confusing. One was when they announced that they were going to have judges for the AEW World Championship match, which I thought was stupid from the very beginning because I thought, like, really? We're going that route with it? It's like everybody knows it's the goddamn work. You can't have judges in a simulated situation. In my opinion,
but they have
to
come into play, and they didn't.
Which they didn't at all, no. And one of them was the Great Muta. I'm like, what? How much did you pay Keiji Muto to come all the way from Japan to wear AEW gear on top of that? How much did you pay him to do that? I really want to know, Cons.
Yeah.
How much did you pay? But anyway, besides that point was that they were a red herring in the first place because then the MJF thing happens. And so it's like, okay, I see what they did there. They were trying to pull a swerve with the judges so that people didn't suspect the MJF thing. Here's the thing. We knew it was coming.
Yep.
We just didn't know when, so that was the thing.
Uh-huh.
It's not as much of a swerve. It's more of oh, okay, now I see why they did the judges in the first place. So that would mean the judges were totally pointless to the entire affair.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. The other thing is that there were a couple of matches that I could care less about. I didn't really care about the whole Joey Janela, Sean Spears match. Could care less about that match.
Sorry, guys, I'm not a Janela guy.
Me neither.
I'm happy they're using Spears at least.
Yes,
I'm
I
a
was,
Spears
and
guy.
I was happy that Spears got the win.
Thank
He
God.
should have.
First one.
Yeah,
That was
he
first one.
should have beaten Janela. If Janela beat him, I was it. I was like, that's it. I have lost faith in the booking. But besides that, it's like, okay, it's a whatever match. It's like, why? Oh, and then they're going to apparently continue that program because they had him have a run-in with Spears on Dynamite. But that's besides the point of a worthless program. There were also a few matches where the decision kind of confused me, but that was just me. I'm still not a massive fan of SCU being the first AEW tag champs. I don't mind them being champs, don't get me wrong. I just don't like the fact they're the first champs. It's like, I would rather have the Lucha Bros be the first champs. To me, that makes more sense. But then again, maybe that's just me, So I'm still not 100% behind that. I didn't mind the match. I just don't like the fact that they're champs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately, the positioning of the card, where you have the AEW Championship not close out the night, but now that adds to this is clearly, obviously, they did all this to build up for the MJF thing. They didn't want to send the fans home pissed off, so that's why they made Kenny Omega and Moxley go last. It all comes together now here in the end. It's confusing, to say the least. It's a whole bunch of shit to unpack there. But yeah, I would say that it's probably the most convoluted card they've had since they've started doing their television since then.
I'm with Ryan. I thought the entire card was predictable. Minus, and I'm still calling them L and LAX.
Which they are.
Minus LAX going over the Bucks surprised me.
Which was a good thing.
Then people bitched about how long the match was. It was a great match.
It was.
I will say this on the air. I will say this fully. And I have never said this since even the original podcast version of Lazy Booking kicked off so many years ago.
Oh, boy, he's dusting off one of the old warheads.
Hold on.
Here we go.
Hold on. I mean, this deserves something.
I still hate Tito. That's not changing.
This feels like it's going to be big.
If he hit, trust me, that wouldn't cover it if he said he liked Tito.
I am now a fan of the Young Bucks.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I am
Holy
a fan
shit. Okay.
of the Young Bucks. They have won me over. My issue has always been the spot fest indie gimmicky matches. But they are one of the talents, and this is, listen, I respect Joey Janela. I've seen a lot of his work. It's much the same for me. Even the goofy, you talked about the run-in on Dynamite. The goofy facial expressions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
He showed up on Dynamite. Like, what the fuck is Joey Janela doing?
A lot of it feels very indie to me.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like the Bucks have done nothing but work as a big company talent since AEW has started.
Absolutely. Because think about it, the only two teams out of the entire tag team division have a lot of name recognition. That's no offense to SCU. They have two major veterans on there, but the ones people think about are the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks. Those are 1A, 1B. And they've been working like the 1A of working with the tag teams that may be lesser known.
I think that the Young Bucks, it's not that I ever didn't think that they had the talent, but there was the formula was predictable. Super kick, Meltzer driver, dive, repeat. That was the formula of all of their matches. Now, it's been much different. They have told stories throughout the matches in the ring. I'm becoming a fan, and I never thought I would say that, and I'm okay with that. I've always been a person who says, "Prove me, make me feel like I'm proven wrong," and I'm more than happy to admit it.
Yeah,
they look like one of the best tag teams in the world right now.
Yeah,
and I give credit where it's due. I think that they have been one of the they're of all of these talents, and I'm not including Cody and Jericho because these guys know how to work for a big company, which in all intents and purposes, AEW now is on that level or are getting there. They're not Impact. They're not AAA. They're not CZW.
Well, it's simply based on
you may not be able to tell from the main event, but
definitely wouldn't be able to tell. But and on top of that too, the major focal point of that is the reason why they're on that big plateau's TV coverage, and then on top of that too, they have pay-per-views and they have top-of-the-line talent that is not in WWE currently.
Gotcha. Oh, so all the random names that Roscoe was dropping in was his Hall of Fame predictions.
Oh.
That makes sense. That was not clear from the point of conversation, but that makes sense.
Okay,
all right, Roscoe,
we've
we
recovered.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You've redeemed yourself, my friend. I appreciate you clarifying that. But even the MJF thing. So to me, the moment he was announced as the corner man, I knew that this was going to happen. I totally know. Now, could I have I knew he was going to cost Cody. Could I have predicted the towel throw-in part? No, I wouldn't have predicted that. But the formula is the same. He is going to cost Cody, and he is going to turn on Cody. It was inevitable. I also take issue with the fact that if you are going to make the name the most recognizable face of your company, and you could argue Jericho, but Cody is literally the face of the company.
Well, yeah, it's his company.
It is his company. And you're going to take him out of the world title picture? It's asinine to me to do that this early. And not just that, if you go back and you have that revisionist history and find stupid ways to get around it, you're no different than WWE booking. It was unnecessary to do it now. What they should have done is say, if I don't defeat Chris Jericho, as long as he is world champion, I cannot challenge for the title. Because I think Jericho's going to carry the title for a while at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to.
Well, Jericho,
if he got past this match, he absolutely.
Just for the TV ratings.
Yeah.
Jericho's going to hold the
face.
belt for a while. I can't even think of anybody that he could possibly conceivably lose it to on the roster. And if anyone's going to throw out Kenny Omega, fuck you, because that is not true.
It'll be Moxley eventually.
That's the one.
I think that he'll probably wind up facing him next. I think.
Well, no.
I hope
his
not.
program's already set up.
Well, it's
Moxley's
Darby.
program.
I know that Darby Allin thing, but what's to say they don't try and do a whole spot where Jericho doesn't defend the belt for a pay-per-view or some shit like that? I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to, but who knows? They could possibly do that shit. They're just playing around with the booking right now and seeing what the hell sticks.
Here's what they have to be very careful of. They have to be very careful with not kind of putting out all the big matches right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I think that's the struggle, and they kind of booked themselves into a corner. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm incorrect with any of this stuff, but they kind of booked themselves into a corner with the whole Cody Rhodes thing to where it was all about like the win-loss records, and that's what propelled him to be in that spot. And they had to do it, but they also didn't want to do it because kind of I think the promo, which is going down as one of the better promos in the last handful of years, Cody did a couple weeks ago, which I agree. It's awesome. I think what he said in there, obviously it was kind of improv. It wasn't scripted. And the part where he was saying to where, all the haters can say that, it's my company, therefore I'm going to make myself the champion, all that stuff. That's kind of that's how he kind of phrased it and twisted it to where that propelled him to say, listen, it's more meaningful to me to be honest with the fan base. Therefore, if I lose this Sunday, I'm not going to ever challenge for it again. To kind of take liberty of, listen, I know it's my company, but that doesn't mean anything to where I'm not going to put myself in the whole, title picture. So with the whole Moxley thing, and like say for example Moxley or Pac, and they already did Why am I blanking on his name? The Cowboy. Why I always blank on
Hangman
his
Page.
Hangman Page. They already did Hangman Page. Pac, it doesn't make sense because it's 2 heels, and then Moxley. I just don't want them to get everything out in the forefront, because then it's like, what are we doing?
Here's the thing though about Page. Page, you can always justify eventually facing Jericho and taking the belt off him, because you can always say he's grown since then. He wasn't ready to be world champion when he faced Jericho for the title.
Yeah.
You can always do that because he's never been a world champion. So it's like, all right, you can justify it. Cody, totally different story.
Frank says, I love the Ricky Morton spot. I did
love that,
and
yes.
the fact that he kind of had that slight little struggle to get over the top on the sunset flip actually endeared me to the moment even more.
Yes.
But, dude, like that suicide dive he did.
It did the tope.
Was absolutely freaking perfect. I loved it.
It's like, damn, man. Ricky and Robert, they still got it. Holy shit.
Oh, it was so good. John says Hangman Page will take the belt from him. He's the future big name for the company. Frank says, now with MJF throwing in the towel, there's going to be one of those, I didn't submit under my own will stipulations. I do think Cody comes back in the picture, which is WWE shitty booking.
It could be very simple as, way down the line, because I don't think Cody's going to be, and you could say this is a mistake or anything, but I don't think he's going to win the title for quite, a couple of years.
You have to.
Well,
yes. I don't think it will play out like that. I think what it would be is that Cody will always do the underdog thing, kind of like what his dad liked to do back in the day, because you could tell that parallel with the booking right immediately with the two.
Well, I hate it because he doesn't need to do that.
No, I'm not saying he has to.
Sorry,
I'm just saying
Cody's
that's
than his dad was.
I think what could end up happening is that, and this would be very WWE-esque, to where the thing that would get him quote unquote eligible to challenge for the title again, to where he would have to face in a gauntlet match all of the members of the Inner Circle. And if he wins that, he's now eligible because he didn't truly lose. And the final 2 would be Jericho and MJF.
And that would be
terrible.
What?
I don't even think that would happen. I could actually see them doing this, and I swear to God, if this does happen, I won't be happy with it. He'll lose a match to try and get back into the world title picture, gain the support of the fans because of the sympathy, and then it's going to come from AEW, or it's going to come from the board, or whatever the fuck they'll do, and they'll say, they all voted, though, you're still eligible to go for the world title. Yeah. I guarantee you something like that will probably happen. And if that does happen, I'm not going to be happy with it, but I could guarantee you I could see that happen.
Well, that's going to be terrible.
Why did they even need to add the whole stipulation? Why couldn't it have just been because they literally could have ended with MJF costing him.
This is
without
why
this.
They wanted to add more to it. They felt like they had to add more to MJF. They overbooked it. They overbooked MJF officially turning heel, even though he was a heel from the very fucking beginning.
Because Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho doesn't need stipulations. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all.
No, the main event was a borderline death match. Not a hard. I was
pretty much.
I didn't like
call it a death match.
I'm not gonna say I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
I liked it.
I liked the match. I just thought it was weird that it was involving those two.
Well, not Moxley because he has
no, not Moxley.
Omega.
Yes.
It was shocking. A lot of that match.
Yeah.
I will say that.
The most shocking part was probably the mousetraps, and the only reason why is because I haven't seen that.
That was pretty cool.
That was the only thing I haven't seen. I've seen chains, I've seen broken glass, I've seen the barbed wire. We've all seen the barbed wire. We've seen all that. It was the mousetraps that I remember the most from that match.
It was a fun match. I was just confused as to why. I didn't feel like they needed to go there yet, for example.
Yeah, and listen, I'm going to say it again. Jim Ross is awful.
Oh, yeah, he was not good.
They missed Tony Schiavone on the pay-per-view broadcast, and if you watched AEW last night, he called Hager Swagger. He got all the tag team names wrong during the tag team match. He was terrible.
And who was it?
JR.
Oh, God.
He needs to go. It is distracting from the program. He is a shell of himself, and it's an embarrassment. It is to the point where it is like an elderly person who needs to have their hand held to get through something. It is terrible. And I'm done. I'm over it. Yeah. I'm over it. Last few notes, I just want to get a couple things in. Luchasaurus, crazy over in his return last night.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. MJF's promo on Cody, fire.
Oh, absolutely.
Jericho in his exchange with MJF, absolute fire last night. That was spectacular. I loved even the Juventud Guerrero WCW reference was amazing.
Oh, that was a great line.
And then
oh my God.
MJF just saying, "Who's Hoovy?" I loved it.
And then Jericho responds, "Google it, baby."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, that's fucking
They
perfect."
were spectacular.
Question.
Sure.
What are they doing with Awesome Kong?
I hate it.
What are they
She's
doing?
the muscle of Brandy. That's basically
but
what
it's so
she
bizarre,
is.
and she's cutting people's hair. I don't.
That's basically what Awesome Kong is. She's just the muscle for Brandy
She's
Rose.
walking
get
around
it.
with the hair like
Yeah,
on
like,
her. I don't know.
Is this like a version of what Karma was supposed to be with WWE? You know what I'm saying? Like the weird.
Frank, I didn't catch that, Frank.
What?
He said that JR also called Full Gear fully loaded.
Oh my God.
JR, go home.
You know what? I
Go
think he
home.
did.
JR,
Yeah.
JR, you're drunk.
Holy-
Time to go home.
Holy
Go
shit.
home.
And that hasn't even been a pay-per-view since 2000.
Somebody call
Jesus.
JBL. Come on. I mean, let's get out of this.
Oh my God. Whoo.
All right. Obviously, we're on our last minute. So we'll get to next week. We got our Survivor Series preview, so we could talk about the whole NXT invasion then. Apologize we didn't get to that, but obviously
And NXT War Games is going to be happening
NXT
too.
War Games.
War Games.
I love War Games.
I just love the way he says it.
We'll definitely make sure that we get to all of that next week. But I mean, the CM Punk thing threw us for a loop this week.
Justifiably so.
We had the AEW pay-per-view, an awesome episode. Of that. To me, last night was probably, I thought, their best episode they've had to date. So it was just kind of threw us for a whirlwind, but we'll get to it. Maddie, who's our sponsor, buddy?
Our sponsor is Dr. Paul Vidal with Specialized Physical Therapy, located in Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton, New Jersey. And he'll take care of you nice and easy. And all you got to do is find him on www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com.
And again, guys, ATS Sports Picks, ATSSportsPicks.com. Use that promo code A2D. Get your 20% off, guys. Check them out. We love when you win money. Stay tuned. The Hockey Happy Hour. Continuing niche night at the top of the hour at 10 p.m. Lots to talk about. Flyers hockey, hockey around the league.
Oh, yeah.
The Mighty Ducks. Disney Plus coming out with the Mighty Ducks cartoon on there. Well done. Mr. Daly's over waiting in the wings
Stanley
to join.
Cup final
I love
one,
it.
too.
That's great. That's a great jersey. Next week, again, we got Survivor Series preview for you guys. We have NXT War Games preview. We'll talk more Fallout from AEW Full Gear and anything else that may happen. We're going to talk CM Punk again next week.
Most likely.
So we got a fully packed show. Damn, we got to start on time next week. Until then, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. Stick with these guys. They're the best. We'll talk to you soon.